for me was like, it's something I've always enjoyed. It's also something that I wanted to do, but I always felt too shy. I know, but it was like, it was really that element of creativity I feel like is rawest and truest to me, where with some businesses you can follow a blueprint and then tailor it to yourself, but with being creative you're literally creating from the things that you've been through. And so it was always really vulnerable for me to share. I started my company in 2019, but in 2023 is when I actually went full-time on it after uni in January, and by September I did my first festival. To give other people space to show their creativity as well, literally.
That is absolutely amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wasn't expecting that. Welcome to Spotlight Voices. My name's Natalia Nicholson. I'm the founder of Women in Digital Business, and we are bringing to you literally every day one of our speakers at the top 100 most powerful Black Women Summit. So today I'm super excited. I have got here with me the wonderful, the brilliant Ebony, who's full of as much energy as me, if not more. So without further ado, Ebony, please introduce yourself and who you are to our audience.
Hey guys, my name is Ebony Omolara, also known as Lady Lara when I'm on stage, but I run a online visibility company called Ebony Omolara Enterprises, and we are basically here to help you guys be authentic online and also create meaningful connections, whether that be for sales, whether that be for community, whether that be just to meet people. We want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that is true to you and isn't added labor.
Absolutely brilliant. So, Ebony, I've got to start with this. When I first met Ebony and I heard all the different things that she did, number one, I had to take my hat off, but it's how laser focused she is around every area. Quite often as an entrepreneur, if you've got different facets about you and you've got loads of different offerings, it can be quite difficult to talk to multiple audiences while still staying core and true to each one of those service offerings. It can sometimes cause a lot more work and a lot more to figure out your brand and your place in the market, because there are so many different facets of you and you have got so many different audiences. So I kind of want to start off with the core of what you do and then kind of hit the audience with what you do one by one and what kind of where in the middle it sits and brings everything together. So I'd like to start off with the music, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a gift.
So music for me was like, it's something I've always enjoyed. It's also something that I wanted to do, but I always felt too shy. So I used to perform every year at school and stuff up until year 9. And then I burst into tears on stage one day, and I didn't perform again until I was 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wasn't expecting that.
I know, but it was like, it was really that element of creativity I feel like is rawest and truest to me, where with some businesses you can follow a blueprint and then tailor it to yourself, but with being creative you're literally creating from the things that you've been through. And so it was always really vulnerable for me to share, and I didn't know how to go about that, so I just didn't for a long time. And then I started doing music and sharing it with people, and I think I realized what it did for me, and I wanted to help other people to do that. So it wasn't just about like me sharing what I had to say, it was giving others the platform to share what they had to say as well. So after I started my company in 2019, but in 2023 is when I actually went full-time on it after uni in January, and by September I did my first festival. To give other people space to show their creativity as well, literally.
That is absolutely amazing. So what was it? What made you decide you want to do a festival? Because that's big. Because we've gone from stage to a big break, and I think a lot of women can resonate with that, by the way, of what that feels like to get frightened or fear creeps in and then you just leave it. But you came back to it. So what, from the comeback, how did the festival come about?
There was so many like different elements that led to Embrace. So one of the things was the building that I did it in. the LTB showrooms. It was like an old car factory that they'd converted into art space, and they'd let anyone in the community come and hang their art up, come and do shows there and things like that. And when I found it, I just fell in love. I was like, oh my gosh, where is this world and where has it been for so long? And the owner said that they was knocking it down to build student accommodation in September at that time. So I was like, no, we have to do this festival like right now.
So it was meant to be.
Yeah,
because that's what that communicates with me. Sometimes we put things out to the universe and the universe responds and answers when we're ready. And that's what that feels like to me, because it was that space was available at that time, just in that short window, and you made it into a festival. So am I right in saying that was the growth of your audience and maybe a following?
It was, because I'd already been doing the beads and stuff before then. I'd been volunteering in my community, but nothing was like independently my own creation. Everything was just me working on or supporting.
Right, okay.
And so with that, there was the element of the building. There was the element of like my experience working with the charities and stuff I did and doing community work. Unfortunately, I didn't have the best experience. And I saw a lot of like manipulation of leadership and of funding and all of these things. And I was complaining a lot, especially in prayer. But then it gets to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to do something about it. And so that's what Embrace was about. I wanted to encourage my community to be independent and not wait for, we had just had City of Culture, and they came in, brought all of this stuff from London, and then left. And it was just like, what now? And I was like, no, guys, like, we have to realize, they brought it here, but we was already doing what we're doing, or we found what we was able to do during that time. So how can we continue to do that?
Got it. And I think that's how we connected, if truth be told. So one of the things that quite quickly in our conversation that Ebony and I really connected on is being able to create a space of ownership and not feel like you're in situations where you're being manipulated, where you're just being used for maybe your skill set, knowledge, or something about you that benefits a wider belief, business, or system that isn't your journey. And quite often we can get distracted with that. I call it the dangling the carrot in front of you by saying, we can do this, we can align with you here, but there's no authenticity in the offer, because really the alignment's coming from whatever that person or organisation wants to do. It's not actually about you. And I feel like as black women, as black people, we are trendsetters in most areas. Okay, for me, pop culture is black culture. I'm sorry.
That's true.
But for some strange reason, we don't own it. Here, multi-billion-pound market, we've got no ownership in it. And I think that's where you and I really aligned in terms of what can we do to break this cycle. And I don't even think it's a cycle. It's like, what can we do just to create our own space where it's like, actually, I don't need to be in your space. You can go fill your table with what you want and offer the crumbs to someone else. I just want to be in my own space. So what happened after the music?
Sorry, I just wanted to say one thing about what you just
do.
said in terms of us reclaiming our culture. I was reading something on my way here about Black History Month and how some people say it's good that we celebrate it, and some people are like, no, why are we limiting ourselves and
I'd love to know
all
your
of that stuff. And I see both sides, but I also feel like we can, it's not even a double standard. It's like, on one side, we've been limited for so long, and so we should use this opportunity to do what we need to do and share what we need to share in the way that we do. Like, give ourselves the credit where it was taken away from us. And then on the other side, like, if we do feel like it's just a token thing or we have to make it what we can. I didn't know it was created by a black person.
Okay, you just educated me. I'll keep it real.
Literally.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm really transparent.
It was a black guy.
I didn't actually know that.
And he's still alive. Like, he's doing a radio interview today. That's how I found out about all of this.
What radio station is it?
Chalk Hill Radio something.
Anybody that knows the full name, any links, just make sure you're dropping it in the comments box. But I didn't know actually that month was dedicated to us and was brought back by a black person. By the way. I didn't know that. And it's funny that you said that. I've got mixed views about it as well. When I say that, I definitely feel like it should exist. I'll support it when I can. I think my frustration is, why does it have to be a whole month? Why is it just not throughout the year? So what I tend to find, especially with speaking engagements, why am I so busy around anything that's cultural just in October? And actually, October, rightly or wrongly, don't shoot me, October does tend to be the month that you've got to fit a lot in, because it's like, damn, the next year's coming soon. Yeah, it's just like, there's a lot of things that you feel like, if I don't do it now, it's just like I'm going into a new year and I'm not doing it. And I think the problem with that just means that where it's in October, it just feels like amongst everything else that's going on, with coming up to the last quarter of the year, now you've got Black History Month, you're forced to have to do everything within that one period. So that's my thing with it. I feel like it should be something that is continuous. But at the same time, I would never want to get rid of it, because you're right, it's something to be embraced and it is important. And I don't know about you, I also feel like we need to look forward more with Black History Month.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it got to the point where after secondary school, where we might have fun things going on, or we've got Culture Day, or they're bringing in Jamaican stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, finally, you're getting like the menus are different at lunch. Like, it just becomes this thing of like, oh, we're gonna learn about, maybe because they always share the same aspects of Black history. And there's so much that is uncovered.
Mary Seacole.
Yeah, no, but like literally, I'm like, you guys have told me about this before. I don't. The same people every single year, and it's not that their stories aren't valid, but there's so many other stories and there's so many other things.
Yeah. Even when they talk about like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they miss out the pre-part before that. It wasn't just great speeches that the both of them had. They were on a mission, and there's a lot of politics and history that go with it. That part doesn't really come out. The Atlantic slave trade. Okay, we are living that right here today across the world, where we were taken from Africa and dispersed to loads of different places, and that's what created what Black culture is today. But we don't talk about it.
It's true.
So I agree with you.
Where the inspiration from Embrace, I'd say, that's where the root of it came from.
Yeah.
Because I was learning more about our history and where I come from, and even like my own ancestry, lineage and stuff. And I was like, I need to be able to embrace all of these things and not mask them, and actually use them at work, as opposed to like have to hide away from them.
Yeah. It's a part of yourself that you can easily hide away from, and then it's almost like, as Black people, and I think this is probably most cultures, we behave a certain way when we're out in public, at work, like there's a status quo of our behaviour, and actually it's all cultures. But when you shut that front door,
yeah, it's everything just
everything comes out. Everything,
you get it. But I
everything comes
feel
off.
like we should have to do it to the extent that we do. Like, sometimes it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then when you've got children as well, it's having to teach them, like, how do you teach someone to be really proud? Like, I'm Jamaican and I've been brought up to stand tall, even though I said it, I was like, oh, I'm slouching. I was very much brought up to stand tall, be proud of who you are and what you are. But then it's almost like that's not welcomed in corporate environments.
The point. That's what I learned very early on, and I'm very stubborn. Like, I have a tattoo that says African Rebel. And I don't act like I can't do it. That was how I ended up leaving a lot of the opportunities that I was offered, because I was like, you guys you're not serious. Or even if you're doing the token thing, like, I can feel that. And so there's certain things that aren't being. Yeah, there was just so many things.
Totally agree. So this is how Ebony and I vibed, and you can see, and hopefully you're feeling how we vibe. It's the culture piece. But I feel like you was given a gift. I feel like within your journey, you're then creating space to make sure that other Black women can, figure out how do they use that gift and be visible. So tell us, what happened after music? What's happening after music? Because you kind of went into other areas.
The funniest thing is, so before Embrace, I didn't do online visibility. I just did cultured waste. So it was just waist beads, workshops. I had my book and things like that. At the time that I'd done Embrace, I was in rent arrears in my flat, because I'd left my part-time job after graduating uni, had no savings, no money, So Embrace was kind of like the leap of faith that I needed to take for myself. I only got paid like $1,200 2 days before to actually fund the festival. It was very mad.
If you are an entrepreneur and you have been through this, where you're just doing, and by God's grace, you just know you're going to try and pull this off, drop the comments in the chat. We want to hear your story.
So after the festival, I still needed to pay like invoices and things like that. And so it became, what can I do to diversify my portfolio, and I guess use some of my other gifts. And so I started realizing that I do content creation a bit differently to everyone else, or people made comments about it. Like one of the contracts I'd received for content creation work, they was like, "Oh, your content's so quirky," and I was like, "What do you?" I used to be so angry. I was like, "What do you mean by that?" Like I was like, "What's
Like your action.
yeah?" I was like, "What does that mean?" Like I'm just being myself. Then I was like, "Oh, they don't mean it offensively. They just mean it's like it's cool, it's weird." It's
I'm laughing because I get called quirky a lot.
Yeah, honestly, at first I was like, "Excuse me."
And it's not usually by black people either.
That was what actually made it the thing where I was like, you need to mind what he's saying. But I like to embrace it as well, and so started doing more experimenting with my content creation, and sharing more about my journey and myself and how I was experiencing things. And people either would come up from a business aspect of, I love the way that you show up in your business, or just, I really love the way that you motivate yourself, or I just really love, and I started recognizing that I had a unique value, or that, like, I started speaking up because I didn't feel safe and comfortable to speak up in the environments around me, be it work, home, or any of those things.
Yeah, I get that.
My social media platforms was my safe spaces.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Because that's what we should be using social media for. And that's the thing. So many people don't. They create the unsafe place on social media. Does that make any sense? And then use other places in their life to be safe. Where actually you're using it as a platform to be safe, which means your content is real and it's vulnerable.
The fact.
Yeah.
Someone, what was we speaking about? Oh, we were speaking about the fact that I didn't get an iPhone till I was 17. And I bought it on my own with my bursary from sixth form because I wasn't allowed like the internet and stuff. So when people at school knew what was trending and they're making jokes and that, I had no idea what was going on.
You're giving me ideas to my children.
You know? Every parent, I'm like, my dad sent me to the library every Saturday. But I'm grateful to him, even though at the time I was like, oh, I'm always missing out, FOMO, all of these things. Now I can appreciate that I don't try to fit into a standard of what was on the internet, so we're all trying to catch on to a trend. Like I never got into that habit, so that's why I go everywhere and they're like, how come
my
she's
children
not,
are going to be tonight.
Yeah.
I'm feeling what your dad did.
Even when I'm like around nieces and nephews and stuff, I'm like, yeah, your mom's not here right now, I'm taking your iPad. Literally. It's so funny, but so I moved into doing more digital marketing stuff and learning more. And then I studied quantity surveying and commercial management at uni.
Oh wow!
Which
I did not realise that about you. Okay,
so that's where my project management skills come from. So tying up the project management with the like content creation and ability to be myself, and then with the authentically connecting with people and wanting to understand people and their stories. All of those things created social storytelling. Well, I was like, this is how I want to approach business. I don't want to be
sing as well, so you're a natural creative, so you understand storytelling and short stories as well because you sing.
It's true. Like songwriting,
Okay, that is absolutely amazing. So, tell us what your masterclass is going to be about without giving away too much, because you are incredibly three-dimensional, and I think anybody turns up to Ebony's masterclass, you're going to get so much, because you are going to get that creativity from being a singer and being a creative and understanding how to use her voice. You are going to get that cultural experience of understanding and being proud of who you are and being able to stand up for yourself and finding your authenticity. You are going to get, that project management flow of, okay, how do I take all of this creativity? How do I take all of that and actually put it into some type of workflow that gets me from point A to point B? There's so much different facets that you're going to be able to plug into Ebony about to really understand like how you can authentically be yourself, tap into your creativity and how you can translate that into content. So, if any of these points are hitting with you, this is a masterclass to watch and check out. So Ebony, what can we expect?
So we are going to be breaking down social story selling. And the social part is about social media marketing. And I really want you to connect it to your production systems in terms of what are you already doing that you can share with people online, and what journey can they come on with you? What are you currently working on or trying to improve or practicing that people are going to be able to ask you questions about, and you almost get to establish yourself as an expert in. The next part is about storytelling. So creative storytelling and understanding how you communicate your story. Where are the vulnerable parts? Where are the moments of triumph? What was the adversity or the lessons that you had to learn from that you can then like help other people who are going through that same thing? And then the final part is online selling, and that I've kind of been getting a lot of help from the Queen of Funnel Mastery.
But she's good,
sessions.
yeah.
But yes, it was about how you connect what you're selling or what your products or services to your story and what you're currently doing, and how it all kind of creates one flow of system instead of like having, okay, this. I feel like it's all quite rigid.
Yeah.
So connecting all of them together is what the masterclass will be about.
Yeah. And it's been a pleasure having you in Queen of Funnels as well. In the cohort, you really push the other women to think outside their comfort zone in terms of creativity. Yeah. Yes, I teach, as you know, all about the funnel and the levels and how you get a prospect to go from one touch point to another. But what you've brought to that group that's amazing, you've challenged a lot of the women to really think outside the box creatively. Because essentially what you're doing when you're being visible online, you are connecting with other people, and you can't have a swipe file. There's no script you can use, there's no framework you can use that anybody can give you. You're going to have to show up and authentically be yourself and connect to the people that connect to you and like you, and then get them to know, like and trust you, and then buy from you. So you will have an absolute blast attending one of Ebony's workshops, because she's going to be able to help you really tap into your inner self, so you can really think about how you're going to create content to connect with the right audience and also identify the right audience. So it's been a pleasure having you in Queen of Funnels as well.
It's been one of I do a lot of self-learning, but I'd say for this course, it is that resonance in terms of the way that you deliver the courses and the examples that you give of, it's not always business examples, it's okay, this is how it will relate in your real life, whether it's okay trying to lose weight or all of those make me put it into context, and I'm like, okay, now I can fully delve into how this works and how I would experience the human journey.
That actually makes my heart sing, and I'll tell you why. It's actually what I love doing the most. I love consulting, so yeah, and I'm able to look at other people's businesses and give example of what a funnel should look like, how that flow works. But I just can't do it so well for my own.
It's true.
But that is actually what I absolutely adore doing. It's just showing people, this is giving them an example of how it would work, but using an example they can relate to. Because when I used to do a lot of high ticket programs, they would always give examples based around coaching. And if it was around a coaching the subject area that I'm not familiar with, like I do more digital marketing, I always used to think, how does that relate to me? And that would leave me stuck on the program, because I'm getting what they're teaching, but because they're doing it from their point of view or they're basing it on their journey, I always used to struggle with, okay, I get that, but I used to get stuck on how does that relate to me? How does that relate to what I want to do? And that's where I would then fall into the procrastination and then just keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
And there's things that are unique to our culture that we're used to, that maybe we wouldn't realize how it impacts when we come into sales or when we come into different aspects. And so the way that you incorporate those, I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I've had an absolute blast, by the way, today, because obviously I've been doing a lot of these podcasts. But this has been really great today. Your story, I think there's many people that are going to be watching this and they're going to be able to identify with many different things that you've been through. I did when I spoke to you, and that's what made me gravitate towards you. And the fact that you are so proud of being black in your culture and making sure that you protect yourself and protect us almost, is how it feels like in your story. Yeah, it's just amazing. So any comments, please do put it in the links below. Make sure you've got your tickets if you're watching this once the summit's gone. All of this footage is going to be available for you to watch. Ebony, it's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, and actually I was going to ask you just to let you know, so well done. And what I've been doing is asking the last guest, I've got this off Stephen Bartlett, by the way, asking the last guest to leave a question for the next guest. Okay. So you do your one tool and I've got one question for you.
My one tool would be, when you're deciding your strategy for online visibility, not to focus it on how you come across or your tone, even though it's very important, but some posts may be more serious, some may be more playful. I would say to focus on your values, because the same way in life, like once you decide your values, then each choice can be made out of that. It's the same within business in terms of, it's kind of like your brand promise. So once you know these are the values that are important to us, once you tick those boxes, then they're always gonna feel the vibe and energy that you've created.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And everybody, if you want to add to that, ask about that, make sure you drop it in the comments. But thank you for that. That was big. So my question to you, the last guest left, was name me, well, they didn't say name. What did they say? It was tell us about a childhood memory that sticks out. Really sorry about that one.
It's okay. I'm like, which one?
Even when she said it, I was like, I know. Okay.
A childhood memory. This one has spun me, by the way. I feel like all the memories I've been thinking about recently have been a lot on the more traumatic side of life. So I'm trying to think of like, there was some good stuff that happened as well. I think it would have to be my auntie Shah's, how old was she turning? Maybe 21st birthday. I was like 4. And obviously,
oh, you remember?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like 4 years old, going out raving with my mom and her friends for their birthday. And I was on the dance floor longer than anyone else. Like literally, my mom was like, Ebony, it's time to go. And I'm like, wait, but the DJ's still playing music.
Last man standing.
Yeah, literally. I've gone to school, I've gone to nursery, and I'm like, guys, I was partying all weekend. And obviously my friends are like, we was in bed like 8. Yeah, I think I really look back at that. And
okay, so you was a party girl from young. That is last man standing at 4. I absolutely love it. Well, Ebony, it's been a pleasure having you on Spotlight Voices. I'm super excited to the summit. Like I said, guys, I can't say anything more. Check it out. So, peace.